Hello everyone. Welcome to your daily dose of World of Warships Legends shenanigans. I am, of course, your host tonight, Phoenix61. Make sure you guys are following the channel. Couple of Pazarski games, right? I know I've been playing this ship quite a bit lately. One, because it's new, and two, because it's turning out to be a really great moneymaker, and I need lots of credits, silver, whatever. You have it, right? So, first thing I want to call out, so I've got two games here. This game we do pretty great, and then, well, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I'm going to start out with saying just my flank here, we've got our destroyer going wide back behind around islands. Meanwhile, I'm pushing up, right? Now, so I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to do it, right? Like, so I'm going to take the risk, right? We've got smoke screen on this ship. Granted, it's going to take you a hot minute to slow down and get it deployed so that you go undetected, right? But nonetheless, we'll push in. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to do the destroyer's job too. But just, there's a difference between, say, playing conservatively and too conservatively, right? Like, so if you're a destroyer, you're like, yes, if you're nervous about getting your butt kicked early on, still go into the zone and try and get those initial spots, but just have an exit strategy, right? If you're not, especially if you're not a gunboat, right? Try and get yourself pointed away, or if stuff starts showing up, drop smoke and move away, right? Like there's a difference between just playing smart and then just kind of doing your team a disservice by being a destroyer that's hanging out behind the rest of your team, right? Like, you kind of want to at least get something spotted. If you've got a cruiser on your flank, right, they should support you. I know you're on the blue team, right, and that doesn't always happen, right? But yeah, so we managed to sneak into the zone. We get a little lucky because their destroyer's doing the same thing. Like, it just seems strange to me. I think that a lot of people have that rationale of like, you know what, I'm going to go wide and people won't suspect it. But you've got to also remember that the game only lasts 15 minutes. You're spending a good chunk of time, doing that, right? Like, so, like, I'm sitting here and I've almost got the zone capped just because because everybody else went out wide, right? So, I mean, it works out here on this flank eventually, right? But I'd like to be able to make the argument that, like, some of these cruisers might have gotten spotted a little sooner. I might have been able to drop into my smoke and just done a little bit more damage, right? So, since I know their entire flank came over here as well, right, it works out, right? But, like, I'm going to go and try and help out my teammates on my flank, right? So, kind of the rule of thumb, the unspoken, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, play your flank, right? So I'm going to do my duty here. Plus, it's, it's two cruisers and a destroyer. My ship is very well equipped to handle those types of things, right? You can see we took out their destroyer there. We've got a nice broadside cruiser, right? So that's good for us. We're getting good chunks of damage against him, right? So we've got the right tool for the job as well. I just got to keep an eye on the B zone, right? B cap, right? Because there's a battleship in there, right? So we got to make sure that he either doesn't have a shot on us or that we are angled, right? But here's another scenario, right? So there's a D7P over here. So he's going to send his, his airstrike, right? So that's super, super annoying. And then, yeah, again, like, my destroyer's just kind of hanging out far away. And so now nothing that I can shoot is spotted, right? He's got islands between himself and these cruisers, right? So you got to just kind of remember, like, especially if you're the only destroyer, right, like on your flank, you might be needed for spotting, especially if you don't have a battleship as well, right? So my personal thoughts and feelings are like, kind of like, right, cruisers are going to want to stay the most hidden because they tend to be the most vulnerable, especially when it comes to big boy battleship shells, right? You can just get taken out in one fell swoop, right? So battleships can at least take some of the hits for a while, right? But yeah, you gotta play the game, right? So nice shot on this D7P, but yeah, as you can see, the vast majority, I'm playing my flank over here, and I've kind of, got my blinders on. But I mean, in reality, there's nothing else I can do. But you notice the rest of my team is gone, right? Like, they're already done. I don't know, like, what happened, right? I was paying attention to my flank. I kept my side. I'm killing ships over here. even though I've lost the other cruiser and, you know, my destroyer's kind of being lackluster about spotting ships for me, right? I think he's getting nervous every time he gets spotted, drops his smoke, runs away, right? So we get picked up by the sonar, probably from the hipper that's on the other side of this island here. So I'm going to trip my sonar, right? He's got, you know, those Germans got a little bit better range typically. So it takes a few seconds before I'm close enough to him to pick him up via my sonar. And then, yep, we're getting more airstrikes from the D7P. And we know that the hipper has torpedoes, right? So I'm going to slam the brakes and turn left. They do get picked up early because of our sonar, right? But I say it all the time, right? The trick to dodging torpedoes is to start dodging them before you see them. But we managed to take out hipper, right? So that's 2 of the 3 ships on my flank, plus I capped the zone. We had a little bit of help here, right? But we're at 75,000 damage. These are the only 3 that... right? So you can only carry your team so much, right? The rest of my team crumbled all across the map, right? And have gone into pure defensive mode, I'm sure. Nebraska, we can at least hit him from here. We'll see if we can get a couple shots on him while he's still spotted here. But yes, 3 kills, 85,000 damage, and my team's getting crushed, right? But, you know, if you look at the board now, right, we're only down a ship, right? So I have the motivation here. I'm like, not all is lost, but that Nebraska definitely had a ton of health left. I don't know what either of the cruisers looked like at this point. Plus a destroyer that's been probably several minutes since he's been last spotted, so he could be getting close to us too, right? So we'll push up, right? I'm gonna, like, the only way to win this is gonna be some aggression at this point. We're just gonna have to, especially knowing, like, yeah, like, we've got 2 destroyers. Both of these guys are low on health. We know how the Lightning on my side likes to play, like, super conservative, right? So I'm just gonna push up and see what we can do. We're still spotted right now, so we know excuse me, we know there's at least a cruiser with better concealment than me, or you know, their destroyers getting close up here. But so we'll try and be, you know, a little unpredictable, a little aggressive, a little sneaky, right? Duck and weave a little bit here. We don't have sonar for us as our safety net here for torpedoes. I think one of these is that like pirate themed torp boat. Yeah, La Perla Azul. Yeah, so we know he's got a lot of sneaky torpedoes that he can send this direction, and we're probably within range. I'm going to use up my smoke screens as much as I can here while I still have some destroyers alive. Like I said, they're low on health. We can see an airplane attack coming from the Nebraska, so I'm going to have to move forward a little bit to avoid those. And it's kind of a good thing because the cruiser sent his torpedoes over here as well. But it's going to get us spotted, right? So I'm going to try and do as much as I can to this cruiser. I don't know if we're going to be able to back up and get back in our smoke, right? It's short duration anyway. But here I was like, the motivation was hitting me. I was like, we're getting good hits on this guy. Can I finish him off? But he finally does start angling. We just barely get into our smoke. And then, of course, yep, we backed up right into a torpedo. Like I said, those are pretty sneaky ones. So it was kind of frustrating that I didn't have the handicap that is the sonar, right? Ostergotland gets spotted. We lose our second to last destroyer here. I'm going to shoot at him as much as I can, right? It's better, you know, like, cruisers are best at taking out destroyers in general, right? But also, like, you know, if you're going to lose the game, you know, shooting destroyers is going to give you, you know, you get, you know, XP is kind of like percent damage based, right? Percent of how much you've killed of their ship, not raw damage, right? So shooting a destroyer, especially as a cruiser, you know, you're going to take a bigger percentage of his health away and get that, like, XP and silver earnings, right? So, like I said, I've been playing this ship a lot just to try and earn cash, because I'm, like, desperate for silver as I'm trying to buy some more tier 8 regular tech tree ships, right? So I've just been, like, buying one of those is just, like, you know, 50 or 60 million after you've upgraded it and stuff too. So, but yeah, Ostergotland sent his torps at us. Whether or not I agree with myself, whether I was prepared and actually made that turn, I was kind of more so trying to just get more turrets to be able to shoot this Nebraska since we can actually see him. And yeah, it's going to be tough with him bow tanking, right? Because if you're aiming high and you're hitting that flight deck, all those shells are going to bounce. So you kind of have to aim for, like, the stack. or the, like, you know, try and get the meat and potatoes like right behind the turrets, right? So it's always really tough to do. But I wasn't, like, I was still like, this is still doable. We could do this. This would be an awesome comeback, right? But I'll spoil it now. We don't make this one. But like, yeah, like Nebraska's so low, and then like Perla Azul was low, right? Like I was like, this was doable, and I was just like, the torpedoes are what got me, right? That cruiser, that Perla Azul's to blame for all of his nice torpedo shots. He knew I would take advantage of my smoke, but we still walk away with 7,000 or 750,000 in silver. Top spot on the leaderboard for, you know, #1 loser. I think we almost beat out their best player on their side, right? So, but yes, game number 2, this one works out a little bit better in our favor, right? So I'm going to take this position here. It's nice to be able to go all the way around this island that's to my, you know, off to my starboard side here, off to the left of the screen, right? It's nice to be able to go all the way around that, but when you do that, you're taking yourself out of play when your destroyer spots people, right? So I stopped here, dropped my smoke, and sure enough, he picks up the Fletcher. Now he goes into his smoke too, so then the Fletcher disappears and we don't have eyes on him anymore. And so what I'll do is I'll take advantage once my smoke's gone, or if we don't have anything to shoot, right? I'll take advantage of the free time here and to reposition, because I don't like being this far out as this ship, right? So like, you know, kind of it doesn't, you know, it's pretty accurate, but like, you know, trying to shoot that destroyer at range is going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of misses. So I want to reposition. I want to be able to get in closer, but you still have to keep in mind you don't want to be out in the open and broadside to battleships, right? So I want to move around this island and then move up closer. Maybe I can support both B and C here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I want to get kind of repositioned was my thought process here. But we did end up with 6,500 damage just from those few shots we took at the destroyer, right? The Fletcher and the battleship, the Colorado, that was out there. So this battleship's kind of going towards B. I want to support my destroyer, right? I'm a cruiser. There's an enemy destroyer on the sea flank. I'm the best tool for the job at getting rid of him, right? So I want to be there when that guy shows up again, right? So we could see the zones contested. We know that their destroyer is in the zone somewhere, right? So we'll be in position to be able to shoot at him if my destroyer gets him. We can't really push into it ourselves. That Colorado would make it that a little bit risky, right? So, but we can still move up here. So we're getting spotted. So at first I was like, maybe there's something through B over to my left, right off the port. But I think it's actually the destroyer, the Fletcher, was moving around within C and had picked us up, right? I think he's off, kind of off to that little, like off to the right of it in that little island by that area. So, and then, yep, we've got a York too, so it's possible it was him picking us up. But, you know, the fact that we can't see him through that smoke, I'm going to guess it's not him, right? But it's just, like, unfortunate and frustrating and annoying. So the closer I get to this island, the more I'm convinced it's the Fletcher moving up within the sea cap here, right? So, which would be good for us if we can spot him, right? So we've still got 2 minutes left before we've got sonar. We're going to have to play this carefully. And I think we end up getting a little lucky here as we push up that he is just a little bit too close to us and gets spotted here. And he does not have a lot of health left, right? Because we were shooting him in the beginning of the game, right? We were doing our job, shooting the destroyer as the cruiser. So he is going to be easy to take out, right? Now I'm going to assume he sent torpedoes at us. You know, whether he actually does or not, right, is not the question. Always start dodging torpedoes before you see them. It's always my rule. We'll take shots at what we can. So I'm going to point towards where he was to give us the best chance to dodge these. With how, like, slow I am to get going, get started and stopped here, you know, you run that risk of like trying to turn away and move away completely, and then you're like broadside and you die, right? So don't see any torpedoes coming through, so we lucked out there. We've got smoke ready. We'll see if we can help finish off this Bayard. Get a good chunk there with the double Citadel. I am loving this ship. Colorado's out there, right? So we finish off Bayard. We'll be able to pick on the Colorado while he's spotted here for a while, at least while we've got our smoke going. don't want to quite move up into the zone, right? It would always be nice to cap it, but we would be putting ourselves at risk, right? That Colorado would definitely pick on us. We're a cruiser. Battleships like to shoot at cruisers, so we're going to avoid getting spotted while we can. And we'll just sit here and farm damage from him. And then I noticed this Akatsuki pushing through. This is kind of where I'm like, you know, my new rule of thumb is like the halfway rule, right? Like if you're coming halfway into the map, right, you know, you cross that halfway line into enemy territory, it just, like, with the way most of the maps are designed, it amplifies how many ships are going to be able to shoot at you. And this Akatsuki did not think, you know, wasn't even thinking about me being over here, right? And I was paying attention to the mini map, and we were able to help out with him potentially saving our battleship that was out there, right? So yeah, that's kind of the, you got to be real cautious about coming through that halfway point, halfway through the map when the game's not even, you know, halfway over yet, right? So just something to keep in mind, right? Unless your team is like, you know, really stomping them out, right, and it's a blowout, you got to be careful about coming, you know, making that switch to the, you know, crossing the halfway point. It's going to be dangerous, right? So I missed out on the double kill there. I was a little frustrated there because that would have been nice to get the double strike and the Kraken all in one foul swoop. My damage numbers are actually kind of low here for having 4 kills. We only have 4,600 damage, right? But you got to think, you know, 2 of those are the 2 destroyers. We took out both destroyers now at this point. And, you know, if you think of it as like XP and credit earnings, you know, it's percentage based, right? How much of a percent are you taking away of the enemy's health? And it's easy to get, you know, as a cruiser, it's easy to take out those destroyers. You're going to have those higher, you know, XP earning numbers and silver earning numbers, right? So I'm going to stop here. I don't want to get spotted by the Kansas. I do not want a Kansas shooting at me. We're a little bit late with, you know, our slowdown here because I think, yeah, he realized that our team was breaking through on this flank. So we'll just have to do our best and try and angle, make ourselves skinny, right? Try and tease him with a little bit of broadside, right? And then see if he fires at it and then turn back, right? We've got 5 seconds left for our smoke. This is a ship where I'm, you know, one of them where I'm not running fully packed either, right? So, you know, I feel like it had, you know, especially the smokes, like, right? Like, it's what, you start with 4 or 5, right? So it's a good amount to get you through the game. And then like the 2 heals and 2 sonars, right? So I'm using refill station for the faster reload. This thing is just a DPS beast, right, when it comes to these AP shells, especially with the build that we have here, which I will go through at the end as well, like I normally do. But yeah, we'll have plenty of farming to do on this Kansas. You notice I kind of aim for, like, you know, right at the deck line, right at the top of the hull line, whatever you want to call it, right? So we're hitting like upper plating and the deck and the superstructures kind of all at once. We're still getting a couple of bounces here and there, right? But we're not going to punch through the heavy armor. Flanders coming around here now too, so we'll send torpedoes at him since it looked like he was plowing forward pretty quick. With that Kansas, now we do have our damage numbers up a little bit more after farming him for a little bit. And then when we move forward just a teeny bit, here I am, like, desperate for my Kraken. I'm wondering what's going to happen with this Flander, and then I'm keeping an eye on what direction that cruiser was going, the enemy anchorage over there as well. Trying to see if we can't get at least this rear turret on target here over this island. But we'll have smoke pretty soon, but the problem's going to be, I think my smoke firing range penalty, like the spotting range penalty, whatever you want to call it, is like 7.3, right? So smoke's kind of a waste right now. And then so I'll hold off using it for the time being. He's not looking at me, right? But Flanders got some pretty decent secondaries, so you see those flying at us now. And yeah, since we're a cruiser, he's going to be able to do some damage and trigger some fires too, right? So, but we're getting good chunks of damage. He is trying to, it looks like he is deciding now to, you know, they got rid of that battleship that he was fighting with, right? So he's going to focus his attention on us. So he's got the turrets moving this way, and he's turning the ship this way. So what I'm going to do is drop the smoke, and I'll stop firing my guns because, you know, it's a 20-second penalty, right? So we've got to not fire our guns for 20 seconds, which feels like eternity when you're in this type of situation. But he's still pushing in, and we do still have our torpedoes on our starboard side. So I'll just play it safe here. Since he's going to be so close to us, we could potentially even use sonar to keep him spotted if he disappears here. But we'll just, I'm going to trip the sonar. He gets picked up. Looks like he's going to keep turning to his left. So I fire out a little bit more in front of him. And then we're just going to not fire our guns, right? The secondaries are hitting him, but they're not going to do that much, right? So that's fine. And we'll just be patient. We got 12 seconds left on the smoke. It looks like we're going to get a torp hit. If we need to finish him off with guns, we can, but we don't need it. And we get the crack in there, so we do finally get up to 131,000 damage. And there is one ship left. I think he goes down quite quickly here. So I ended up not fast forwarding like I normally do when we run into these situations. I try to avoid making you guys watch Sailing Simulator. Yeah, somebody got him with the fire there. So we will take a look at the leaderboard, see where we ended up. 131,000 damage, we got the Kraken, we got the First Blood. Yep, 2,800 XP puts us at the top, almost 1,000 more than the second place guy. Yeah, we actually earned less silver than we did in the first game where we actually lost, right? So I think in that first game we probably would have had, if we had won, we would have really kicked butt on the XP side because you get like that 1.5 multiplier when you're on the winning team. But yeah, this is my typical build, right? Aiming system, propulsion mod, concealment, and then like the gun control or whatever, right? And then we are using Andrew the Lip. This was a somewhat recent pirate-themed commander. And then I'm just building all into the AP shells, right? So if you don't have Andrew the Lip, right, like these inspirations are free to play, guys. So you can do a similar build with the free to play commander, right? That base trait has some, percent increase for AP shells, right? And then we're going punch through, right? We're just building, anytime there's an option for AP shell damage, we're picking it, right? So piercer, punch through, fixated for the shell grouping and dispersion, right? A little bit more accuracy. And then, like I said, using refill station. I know you guys that watch my channel a lot, I have an addiction to fully packed, even though it's not always the best choice, right? But I think for this ship, refill station was definitely obvious enough for me to use it, right? It's been working out. Thank you guys again so much for watching my videos. I really do appreciate everybody that's following and contributes and comments and texts during live stream and all that other fun stuff. It helps motivate me to keep going with the channel. It's a lot of fun for me as well. So yes, please do subscribe. I'm still kind of a small channel, so your one subscription really does still help me out. And we do Legends videos every day. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.